I knew my life was over the second I heard my bedroom door slam open at 2:17 a.m. My name is Lola. I'm 23. I live in a two-bedroom apartment on Halsted Street in Chicago, with my older brother Mason. On paper, we're just siblings splitting rent. In reality, for the last 2 years I've been the one paying both halves, with OnlyFans. Yeah, that OnlyFans. It started after Mom and Dad's divorce went nuclear. Dad moved to Texas and decided child support was optional. Mom got sick. Breast cancer. Mason was in his last semester of his computer science degree, and I was a sophomore in college, working 3 part-time jobs that barely covered textbooks. The medical bills started piling up. $400 for one scan. $1,200 for chemo. Insurance covered some, but not enough. I remember sitting on the bathroom floor at 3 a.m., calculator app open, adding numbers that didn't add up. I was 21, failing 2 classes because I was too tired to study, and about to get us evicted. That's when I saw a TikTok. A girl, not much older than me, talking about how she paid off her student loans in 6 months. She didn't say how, not directly, but the comments did. I told myself I'd try it for 1 month. Just one, just enough to catch up on Mom's bills. 1 month became 2 years. Because it worked, I was good at it. I treated it like a business. I had a schedule, I filed taxes, I put money into a savings account for Lily. Lily is my daughter, she's 5 now. Her father and I split when I was 19 and pregnant. He's a decent guy, but he works 2 jobs and can't afford child support. And, for a while it was Mason too. Mason graduated, but the job market in 2024 was brutal. He sent out 400 applications. He got 3 interviews, 0 offers. For 8 months, he sat at our kitchen table, laptop open, refreshing LinkedIn like it was going to change his life. So I paid. Rent, $3,200. Groceries, $600. Mom's chemo copays, $300 a month. Lily's daycare, $1,100. I never told him where it came from. I said freelance graphic design. He didn't ask questions. He was too ashamed to. I think he assumed I had a sugar daddy. Maybe that would have been easier for him. 3 days ago he finally got an offer, $128,000 at a fintech startup. He came home with champagne. We toasted. I cried in the bathroom after because I thought, finally I can stop. I can go back to school. I can delete the account. I should have deleted it that night. Instead, at 2:17 a.m., my bedroom door slammed open. Lola. Mason, 26, 6'1", my big brother who used to carry me on his shoulders when I was scared of thunderstorms. Now he was standing in my doorway with my laptop in his hands, his face white, his knuckles white, everything about him white, except his eyes. His eyes were black. He turned the screen toward me. My creator dashboard was open. $8,247.31 this month. My profile picture, my username, @LolaDreams. Are you serious right now? His voice was shaking. This is how you're making money? Living with me? Paying my rent with this? I sat up in bed. Lily was at her dad's this week. How did you find out? How did I find out? He laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was the sound people make right before they break something. Jake sent me a link from Reddit. Your face, Lola, your face. And in the comments, our address. Do you know what Dad would do if he saw this? Jake, Mason's best friend since freshman year. The guy who came over for Super Bowl and ate my pizza. The guy I taught how to make pasta when he was drunk and sad. And do you know what would have happened if I didn't do this? I was awake now. Cold. When you were jobless for 8 months, Mason, we would have been evicted. Mom would have lost her treatment. Lily would have been sleeping in a car. I'd rather be homeless than live off this, he said. He said it so fast, so sure, like he'd been rehearsing it. Then you should have said that 8 months ago, I said. My voice was flat. You ate the food, you slept in the bed, you used the Wi-Fi, you cashed my checks. You don't get to be morally superior after the fact, Mason. He flinched, because it was true. Delete it, he said, tomorrow. Delete the whole account, or I'm moving out. I'm not having my name attached to this. He put my laptop on the bed. He didn't slam the door this time. He closed it quietly, which was somehow worse. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling until 6 a.m. Then I got up, made coffee, packed Lily's bag for when she came home Friday, and opened my laptop. I looked at my dashboard. $8,247.31. Then, I looked at my bank account. $2,103. Rent was due in 5 days. $3,200. I didn't delete it. Instead, I posted. I didn't know it yet, but in 72 hours, the same brother who told me to delete my life would be calling the FBI to save it. And Jake? Jake was already downloading every video I'd ever made. Have you ever had 200 men tell you they know where you sleep before breakfast? Day 3 after Mason found out. I hadn't slept since, not really. I'd close my eyes and see his face when he said, "I'd rather be homeless." I'd hear it in my sleep, like a loop. So I stopped sleeping. I was in the kitchen at 6:12 a.m., staring at my phone. My DMs were a crime scene. It started with one message on Reddit, a throwaway account. "Hey Lola Dreams, saw your stuff. You live in Chicago, right?" I ignored it. I always ignored them. Then there were 10, then 50. By 9 a.m., my inbox on every platform was full. "Nice apartment, 4B on Halsted. Is that the Walgreens on the corner in your background? Tell your brother we said hi. I'm outside. Come to the window." I dropped my coffee. The mug shattered on the tile. I didn't clean it up. I just stood there, bare feet inches from the ceramic, and opened 4chan on my phone. I don't know why. Like looking at a car crash. There I was, my face, my real name, Lola Miller, in the title. My college, my old workplace, and our address. Unit 4B, 1942, N. Halsted Street, Chicago, Illinois. Someone had taken a video I posted from my bedroom, zoomed in on the view from my window, and matched it to Google Street View. This is called doxing. I learned that word at 9:04 a.m. I also learned it's a crime in Illinois under the stalking statute. But knowing the name of the knife doesn't stop it from cutting. Mason was at work, his new job, the one my money kept him afloat for. I texted him, "We need to talk. Now, come home." He didn't reply for 3 hours. He was in meetings. By noon, the pizza started. First delivery. Large pepperoni. Paid cash on delivery. I didn't order it. I told the guy I didn't pay. Sent him away. 30 minutes later, another one. Then Chinese food. Then flowers with a card. For the prettiest girl on Halsted. I stopped answering the door. I turned off the buzzer. But the deliveries kept coming. They'd just leave it in the lobby, and the doorman would call up, confused. At 4 p.m., I made a mistake. I opened Twitter. Someone had clipped a 30-second video of mine and posted it. It had 80,000 views. The quote tweets were worse than the video. "Heard she has a kid too. CPS should see this. Daddy's little whore. I live 2 blocks away, lol." I threw up in the kitchen sink. The coffee mug was still on the floor. Mason came home at 7 p.m. He had a stupid smile on his face, holding a bottle of wine. First paycheck cleared, he said. Wanted to celebrate. He stopped. He saw the pizzas stacked by the door. 8 boxes. He saw my face. "Lola, Jesus, what happened? Why are there 10 pizzas here?" I couldn't do it. I couldn't explain. I just turned my laptop toward him. The 4chan tab was still open. His eyes scanned. Name, address, the threats. His face went from confused to gray. "Because they can," I said. My voice sounded like someone else's. "Because you told Jake. And now everyone knows where the OnlyFans girl lives. Are you happy? Is family honor safe now, Mason?" He didn't say anything for a long time. He just stood there in his new work clothes holding a $60 bottle of wine, while my life was scattered around him in pizza boxes. "Lola, I didn't think." "No," I cut him off. "You didn't." We stood there. The silence was worse than the yelling. It was the silence of 2 people realizing they'd both been wrong, but only one of us was bleeding for it. Then his phone rang. He looked at the screen. His whole body went still. "It's Jake," he said. Jake. The guy who sent him the Reddit link. The guy who ate dinner at our table. The guy who I'd listened to cry about his girlfriend for 3 hours last winter. "Put it on speaker," I said. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear him gloat. Maybe I already knew. Mason answered and hit speaker. Yo, Mason, Jake's voice filled our kitchen. He sounded casual, like he was asking about a game. Tough week for your sis, huh? Look, I can make it stop. For $10K. The kitchen tilted. What are you talking about, Jake? Mason's voice was dead. No emotion. I'd never heard him sound like that. Her videos? I downloaded all of them. Every one. Tell her to send me $10,000. Cash App, crypto, I don't care. Or I'm sending the whole folder to your dad and to her internship at Deloitte. Your call, bro. The call ended. Jake hung up. For 3 seconds, nobody breathed. The boy who taught me how to ride a bike had just put a $10,000 bounty on my head. Mason looked at me. Really looked at me. Not at the OnlyFans girl, not at the shame. Standing in a kitchen full of threat pizzas with 200 strangers who knew where she slept. He set the wine bottle down on the counter, slowly, like if he moved too fast, something would break. Did you record that? He asked. His voice was still dead, but his eyes weren't. His eyes were alive now, furious. I nodded. My phone had been recording the whole time. I don't know why I hit record. Instinct, maybe. The same instinct that made me start OnlyFans when the bills came. Pack a bag, Mason said. We're going to the FBI. Mason, you hated me 3 days ago. I hated OnlyFans, he said, cutting me off. He finally looked me in the eyes. I hated being wrong. I hated that you were stronger than me. But I never hated you, and I will not let him win. And just like that, my judge picked up a bag, grabbed my hand, and became my witness. The Chicago field office is on Roosevelt Road. It looks like any other government building from the outside. Glass, concrete, a flag. Nothing about it says, this is where your life changes. We didn't call ahead. We just walked in at 9:43 p.m. with a duffel bag, a laptop, and Jake's voice still on my phone. Miss, let's be clear, Agent Reyes said 20 minutes later. She was maybe 40, hair pulled back, wearing a blazer that looked like it could hide a gun. It probably did. What you do for work is legal. What he did is federal extortion under 18 U.S. Code Section 875. 20 years. I sat in a gray room with a box of tissues on the table. Mason was next to me, his hand on my back, not touching, just there, like when we were kids and I had nightmares. Extortion? Mason asked. His voice was still that new, dead calm voice. For $10,000? For any amount, Agent Reyes said. Threatening to distribute private images to damage a reputation unless paid is a federal crime. Interstate communications makes it our jurisdiction. She turned to me. Do you have the recording? I played it. Jake's voice filled the federal building. Tell her to send me $10,000, or I'm sending the whole folder to your dad and to her internship at Deloitte. Your call, bro. Agent Reyes didn't flinch. She just typed. And the doxing? I opened my laptop. I showed her the 4chan thread. My name, my address, the timestamp, the 200 DMs, the photos of our building someone took from across the street. We traced the original post, Agent Reyes said after a call. The IP address belongs to a Mr. David Chen. Does that name mean anything to you? My stomach dropped. David, my ex, Lily's dad, the guy who cried when I told him I was pregnant at 19, the guy who worked double shifts so I could finish my GED, the guy who left because he said, I can't do this baby thing. The guy I still texted on Lily's birthday so she could FaceTime him. He wouldn't, I said, but my voice was small. People do a lot of things when they're angry, Miss Miller, Agent Reyes said. Not unkind, just factual. We have a warrant for his devices already. Distribution of intimate images without consent is a Class 4 felony in Illinois. 18 months minimum. Mason made a sound next to me, like he'd been punched. David used to come over for dinner. David helped him move this couch. What's next? Mason asked. His hand finally touched my back. Just a press of his palm. Warm, real. Next, we arrest them both, Agent Reyes said. We'll need your phone, your laptop, everything. Forensic copies. You'll get them back. She looked at me. And miss, we get you a restraining order against both of them, and we talk about your safety. Changing residences, new phone number, witness protection if it escalates. Witness protection, new name, new life. Away from Mason, away from Lily's school, away from the last 5 years. She's not going anywhere, Mason said before I could answer. He's not taking my sister. Not again. I looked at him, really looked at him. 3 days ago he told me he'd rather be homeless. Now he was telling the FBI I wasn't leaving his side. For the first time in my life, I wasn't Lola the OnlyFans girl. I wasn't Lola the single mom. I wasn't Lola the disappointment. I was Lola, the sister Mason chose to save. We left the field office at 1:06 a.m. Agent Reyes walked us to our car. "Don't go home," she said. "Hotels only, cash. We'll call you when we have them in custody." We drove to a Holiday Inn by the airport. Mason paid cash. We got 2 rooms, but he slept on the floor in mine, with a baseball bat next to the bed. I lay awake listening to him breathe. For 8 months, I'd listened to him breathe through the wall and felt alone. Now I listened and felt safe. At 4 a.m., I whispered, "Mason?" "Yeah?" He was awake too. "Thank you." He didn't say "you're welcome." He said, "I'm sorry I was late." I cried then, quietly, so he wouldn't hear. But I think he did. Because the next morning, there was a coffee on the nightstand and a note. FBI said they move fast. We got this. I didn't know if we did. But for the first time in 3 days, I believed we might. You don't get a phone call when they arrest someone. You get a knock. 6 days after we walked into the FBI building, Agent Reyes was at our hotel room door at 7:12 a.m. Mason answered it with the baseball bat still in his hand. He hadn't put it down in 6 days. "We got them," she said. No preamble. Both of them, 10 minutes ago. My knees gave out. I sat down on the edge of the bed. Mason didn't. He stayed standing, like if he sat down he'd collapse too. Jake Morrison was taken into custody at his apartment in Wicker Park. Agent Reyes continued. We found 32 terabytes of downloaded content on his devices. Not just yours, Lola. 40 other women. He was running a Telegram channel, selling folders. The federal extortion charge is just the start. They're adding wire fraud, cyberstalking, and distribution. I thought of Jake at our kitchen table last Thanksgiving. He brought pumpkin pie. He asked me how my graphic design clients were doing. He knew. He knew the whole time. And David? My voice was barely a whisper. David Chen was arrested at his job, a warehouse in Cicero. He confessed within an hour. Said he was angry you were happy without him. Said he didn't think anyone would actually go to your house. Agent Reyes's face was neutral, but her eyes weren't. He thought wrong. Distribution of intimate images without consent, plus stalking. The state's attorney is pushing for the full 18 months. 2 men, 4.5 years of jail time minimum, because they thought my body was their property. Because they thought my shame was their leverage. You okay? Mason finally sat down next to me. He just existed next to me, solid and real. I started laughing. It wasn't a happy sound. It was the sound air makes when it leaves your body after you've been holding your breath for 2 years. My best friend and my ex are felons. My dad's about to disown me when he finds out, and my brother is my hero. No, Mason, I'm not okay. I'm free. He didn't say anything. He just reached over and took my hand. First time he'd touched me since he found the laptop. His hand was warm, calloused from typing. Real. My phone rang. We both looked at the screen. Dad. Caller ID, Dad. The last time I talked to my dad was 6 months ago. He called to tell me Mom's chemo was working. He didn't ask how I was paying for it. He didn't want to know. Now he knew. I declined the call. It rang again, immediately, and again. On the 4th call, Mason took the phone from me. He answered it on speaker and set it on the bed between us. Lola Marie Miller. Dad's voice filled the hotel room. He never used my middle name unless he was preaching. Proverbs 31. A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. That is not you. You are not that. You are a disgrace. I closed my eyes. I was 19 again, pregnant, sitting in his living room while he read me Bible verses about sin. You will give us your daughter, he continued, now, before I have to take her. Your mother and I have talked. We will raise Lily right, away from you and your business. Lily. He said her name like she was a thing. a thing to be taken. Mason didn't let me answer. He leaned toward the phone, his voice that new dead calm voice that scared me and saved me. She makes $95,000 a year, Dad. She pays taxes. Lily is in private school at St. James. She has a therapist for the separation anxiety. She has a college fund. What do you provide, besides judgment? Silence. Then Dad's voice, colder. See you in court, son. The line went dead. I stared at the phone. He can't do that, can he? Can they take her because of my job? Not if I have anything to say about it, Mason said. He was already standing, already grabbing his wallet, already in motion. Get dressed. We're not losing her. We're getting a lawyer, today. He didn't say your daughter. He said we. We. I got dressed. I put on jeans and a sweater, and I didn't look in the mirror. I didn't need to. For the first time in a week, I didn't feel like something to be hidden. Agent Reyes was still in the doorway. She'd heard everything. You need a family law attorney, she said. I have a list. Victims advocates. They do this pro bono. And Lola? I looked at her. Your job is legal. Being a mother is legal. We're not done here until you're safe. Mason took my hand again as we walked out of that hotel room. We left the baseball bat behind. We didn't need it anymore. We had each other, and we had the law. Family court smells like old carpet and coffee. It's nothing like the FBI building. No steel, no glass, no quiet authority. It's just a beige room on the 12th floor of the Daily Center, with a judge who looks tired and a wooden bench that digs into your back. Dad filed for emergency custody the day after his phone call. Grounds, moral unfitness due to participation in the commercial sex industry. He used a lawyer from his church. The petition was 2 pages long and had 3 Bible verses in it. Our lawyer was a woman named Diane Holloway. She was 57, wore a pantsuit, and didn't blink when I told her what I did for work. I've had clients who were drug dealers keep custody, Lola, she said. Your job is legal. The law cares about harm to the child, not harm to your father's feelings. The hearing was a week later. I didn't sleep. Lily was at her dad's. David's parents took her when David was arrested. They were decent people, scared but decent. They let me video call her every night. She showed me her drawings. She didn't know her dad was in jail. She thought he was on a work trip. Mason sat next to me in the courtroom. He wore a suit. He bought it for his job interviews. He kept tapping his foot. Once, twice, stop. Once, twice, stop. A nervous tic he'd had since we were kids. Dad was across the aisle with my mom. Mom wouldn't look at me. She stared at her hands. Her chemo had worked. She was in remission. My money put her in remission. She wouldn't look at me. Dad's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, the respondent, Ms. Miller, engages in the creation and sale of pornographic material for profit. She exposes herself online for money. We believe this environment is inherently dangerous and immoral for a 5-year-old child. We are asking for full custody to be granted to the grandparents, with supervised visitation for the mother. The word pornographic hit like a slap. I felt everyone in the gallery look at me. Then it was Diane's turn. She didn't give a speech. She just laid out paper. Your Honor, Exhibit A, Ms. Miller's 2024 tax return. Gross income, $95,400. All reported, all legal. She slid it across the table. Exhibit B, enrollment at St. James Private School. Tuition paid in full. Exhibit C, letter from Lily's pediatrician and her child therapist, both stating the child is healthy, well-adjusted, and shows secure attachment to her mother. Exhibit D, Ms. Miller's work schedule. All content creation occurs between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. The child's bedtime is 8 p.m. She is asleep in her own room with a baby monitor, while Ms. Miller works in a locked home office. Diane looked at the judge. Your Honor, my client is a single mother who found a legal way to keep her child fed, housed, educated, and medically insured. The petitioner's evidence of neglect is a screenshot of a legal job. That is not neglect. That is parenthood. Then she did something I didn't expect. She turned to Mason. I call Mason Miller to the stand. Mason walked up. He was sworn in. He looked at me once, just once, and he nodded. Mr. Miller, Diane said, you live with your sister. Is that correct? Yes. Can you describe your sister's parenting? Mason looked at the judge. Not at Dad, not at me, at the judge. Lola wakes up at 6 a.m. every day. She makes Lily breakfast. She packs her lunch. She walks her to school because Lily doesn't like the bus. She picks her up at 3. She does homework with her. She reads her 2 books every night. She never misses a parent-teacher conference. She never misses a doctor's appointment. He stopped, swallowed. I was jobless for 8 months last year. I was depressed. I wasn't helping. Lola did all of that, plus worked, plus took care of our mom. If anyone is unfit in that house, Your Honor, it was me, not her. The courtroom was quiet. Dad's lawyer tried. Mr. Miller, are you aware of the content your sister produces? Yes, Mason said. I am. And you believe that's an appropriate environment for a child? I believe a child who is loved, safe, and provided for is in an appropriate environment, Mason said. My sister's job pays for Lily's therapist. Dad's judgment doesn't. Dad stood up. She's a... Mr. Miller, the judge cut him off. She was a woman, maybe 60. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. Sit down or I will hold you in contempt. Dad sat. The judge looked at the papers. She looked at me. She looked at Mason. Then she looked at Dad. Mr. Miller, she said to my father, your daughter's profession is legal in the state of Illinois and the United States of America. Your evidence of neglect is that she has a job you don't approve of. That is not the standard for removing a child. The standard is harm. I see a child who is thriving. I see a mother who is providing. Case dismissed. Custody remains with Ms. Lola Miller. The gavel hit. It wasn't loud, but it was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. We walked out of the courtroom, and Dad didn't look at us. Mom did. Just for a second. Her eyes were wet. She mouthed something I couldn't read. Then she turned and followed Dad. In the hallway, Mason finally exhaled, like he'd been holding his breath for a week. You didn't lose a father today, Lo, he said quiet. You lost a judge, and you already have one of those. Me. And I quit. I didn't cry until we were in the car. Then I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. Mason didn't say anything. He just drove. He drove us to get Lily from David's parents. When she saw me, she ran. She threw her arms around my legs. Mommy, you came. Of course I came, I said, picking her up. I always come, baby. Mason opened the back door for her. She climbed into her car seat. Hi, Mamu, she said to him. Hi, Bug, he said. He buckled her in. His hands were shaking. That night, Lily drew a picture. Me, her, and Mason at the park. Under it, in crooked letters, my heroes. Mason taped it to the fridge. We didn't talk about port. We didn't talk about Dad. We ate mac and cheese and watched Moana. For the first time in a month, my house felt like a home again. Not because the law said so, because my brother did. Court was on a Tuesday. I remember because Lily had library day at school and she made me promise to pick out a dinosaur book for her. I put it in my bag that morning like it was a talisman. If I have the dinosaur book, I come home with Lily. If I have the dinosaur book, I win. The Daily Center is 27 floors of beige. The family court is on 12. The elevator smelled like coffee and old paper. Mason stood next to me and didn't say anything. He was wearing the suit he bought for job interviews. It was too big 8 months ago. Now it fit him. Or maybe he'd just grown into it. Mom and Dad were already there when we walked in. Dad in a suit too, navy. Mom in a dress she wore to Easter 3 years ago. She looks smaller. Chemo does that. Or shame does. She didn't look at me. She looked at her hands, folded in her lap like she was praying. Maybe she was. Dad looked at me. He didn't look away. His eyes were the same as Mason's. Same color, same shape. But his were cold, like looking into a room where the heat had been turned off years ago. Lola Marie Miller, the bailiff called. I stood up. My legs worked. That was a surprise. Our lawyer, Diane Holloway, was 57 and had handled cases like mine for 20 years. She wore a pantsuit and shoes that didn't hurt. She told me that on day 1. I don't wear heels to court, Lola. I need to be able to stand all day for my clients. Remember that. Dad's lawyer went first. He was young, maybe 30, from Dad's church. He used words like pornographic and immoral and environment. He said, Your Honor, the respondent creates explicit material for money and exposes herself on the internet. We believe this constitutes moral unfitness and places the child in direct danger of predation and psychological harm. Every time he said exposes, I felt Mom flinch. She didn't look up, but her shoulders went up an inch. Then Diane stood up. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't perform. She just started laying paper on the table between us and the judge. Your Honor, Exhibit A, Miss Miller's 2024 tax return, filed jointly as a single head of household. Gross income, $95,400. Profession listed, digital content creator. All income reported. All taxes paid. She slid it across. The judge picked it up. She had reading glasses on a chain. Exhibit B, enrollment contract for St. James Private School, kindergarten. Tuition, $14,000 per year, paid in full for the current year. Exhibit C, letter from Dr. Ann Feldman, Lily Miller's pediatrician, and Dr. Mark Shen, Lily's child therapist. Both state the child is healthy, developmentally on track, secure, and demonstrates a strong attachment to her mother. Quote, Miss Miller is a responsive, engaged parent. Diane kept going. Exhibit D, Miss Miller's notarized work log. All content creation occurs between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. The child's established bedtime is 8 p.m. The child sleeps in her own room, on a separate floor, with an audio and video monitor. The home office has a lock, which is engaged during work hours. At no point is the child exposed to the creation of said content. She looked up at the judge. Your Honor, the petitioner has provided no evidence of harm, no evidence of neglect, no evidence of endangerment. Their entire case is that they do not approve of my client's legal job. The law does not remove children because grandparents are uncomfortable. The law removes children when they are unsafe. Lily Miller is safe. The judge was a woman. Judge Callahan. She didn't nod, she didn't smile, she just wrote something down. Diane turned. I call Mason Miller to the stand. Mason stood up. He walked to the front. He put his hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. For a second, I thought he'd look at Dad. He didn't. He looked at me, once, and he nodded, like he was saying, I got you. Mr. Miller, Diane said, you reside with your sister, correct? Yes, he said. His voice didn't shake. Can you describe a typical day in your household as it relates to Lily Miller? Mason looked at Judge Callahan, not at Dad, not at the lawyer, at the judge, like he understood who he had to convince. Lola wakes up at 6 a.m., he said. Every day. She makes Lily breakfast, usually eggs or oatmeal. Lily hates the crust on toast, so Lola cuts it off. She packs her lunch. She writes a note and puts it in the lunchbox. Every day. She walks her to school because Lily got scared of the bus in October. She picks her up at 3 p.m. They do homework together at the kitchen table. Then they play. Then dinner. Then bath. Then 2 books. Lily gets to pick. Then bed at 8. Lola sings to her, the same song every night. You are my sunshine. He stopped, swallowed. I was unemployed for 8 months last year. I was home. I saw all of it. I was in my room, on my laptop, feeling sorry for myself. Lola did all of that, plus worked, plus paid for our mom's cancer treatment, plus kept us in our apartment. If anyone was unfit in that house, Your Honor, it was me, not her. The courtroom was so quiet I could hear the air conditioning. Dad's lawyer stood up. Mr. Miller, are you aware of the nature of your sister's content? Yes, Mason said, no hesitation. And you believe that is an appropriate environment for a 5-year-old child? I believe a child who is loved, who is fed, who has a roof, who has a parent who shows up every single day, is in an appropriate environment, Mason said. I believe my sister's job pays for Lily's therapist, her doctor, her school, and her future. My father's disapproval doesn't pay for anything. That's when Dad stood up. She's a... Mr. Miller, Judge Callahan said. She didn't yell. She didn't need to. Her voice was ice. Sit down, now, or I will hold you in contempt of court, and you will spend the night in a cell. Am I clear? Dad sat. His face was red. Mom didn't move. Judge Callahan took off her glasses. She rubbed the bridge of her nose. She looked at the file for a long time. Then she looked at me. Ms. Miller, she said, do you love your daughter? Yes, I said. It came out broken, more than anything. Do you believe she is safe with you? She's the safest part of my life. Judge Callahan nodded. She put her glasses back on. Mr. Miller, she said to my father. Your daughter's profession is legal in the state of Illinois and the United States of America. You have provided no evidence of abuse, neglect, or endangerment. You have provided your opinion. The court does not remove children based on opinion. It removes them based on fact. The facts show a child who is thriving. Motion for emergency custody is denied. Case dismissed. Full custody remains with Ms. Lola Miller. She hit the gavel. It wasn't loud, but I felt it in my bones. We stood up. Dad didn't look at us. He walked out stiff like a soldier. Mom followed him. At the door she stopped. She didn't turn around, but her shoulders shook once, like a sob. Then she was gone. In the hallway, Mason finally breathed. It was the first real breath he'd taken since we walked in. "You didn't lose a father today, Lo," he said. His voice was quiet. "You lost a judge, and you already had one of those. Me, and I quit." I couldn't answer. I couldn't do anything but nod. We went to get Lily. When she saw me, she dropped her backpack and ran. She hit my leg so hard I stumbled. "Mommy, you came." "Of course I came," I said, picking her up. My voice was normal. Somehow, it was normal. "I always come, baby." Mason opened the car door. "Hi, Bug," he said. "Hi, Mamu." She climbed into her seat. He buckled her in. His hands were shaking so bad he missed the click twice. On the drive home, Lily talked about dinosaurs, about a boy named Ethan who ate a crayon, about Library Day. She didn't know her life was in a beige room that morning. She didn't know a judge decided her future. She just knew Mommy picked her up, on time, like always. That night, she drew a picture. 3 stick figures under a yellow sun. Me, her, and Mason. She wrote under it in wobbly letters, "My heroes." Mason taped it to the fridge. We had mac and cheese for dinner. We watched Moana. And for the first time in a month, when I locked my bedroom door at 10 p.m., it wasn't because I was afraid. It was because I was going to work, and my daughter was safe, and my brother was in the next room. That was chapter 6. That was the day I stopped being someone's daughter and started being Lily's mom. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens at 1:17 a.m. when you wake up and check the locks, even though you check them at 1:15 a.m. It happens when the mailman knocks and your heart jumps into your throat for no reason. It happens when you realize you haven't laughed in a week, and then you do, suddenly, because Lily put her socks on her hands and said, "Look, Mommy, I'm a sock monster." 8 months since court. 8 months since Jake got 3 years, and David got 18 months. 8 months since Dad blocked my number, and Mom became a ghost who texts once a season with bad news. Jake's sentencing was in March. I didn't go. Diane read my victim impact statement into the record. I wrote it at the kitchen table while Mason made coffee and pretended not to listen. "Jake Morrison didn't just threaten to ruin my life," I wrote. "He tried to teach my brother that women are disposable. He failed. My brother taught me that some men will stand between you and the world, even when they don't understand your world. That's the only reason I'm still here." Agent Reyes called after. She said Jake looked at the floor the whole time. I don't know if that's true. I hope it is. David gets out in 4 months. We moved last week. New building, new lease, new doorman named Carlos who checks IDs and doesn't let anyone up without calling first. Lily calls it our spy house. She thinks it's a game. Mason carried every box up 4 flights of stairs himself. He said he didn't trust the movers. I think he just needed to do something with his hands. I still do OnlyFans. That's the part that makes people uncomfortable. They want a clean ending. Girl gets threatened. Girl quits. Girl gets a job at a bank. That's not my story. My story is, I got a lawyer. Lola M. Digital, registered in Delaware. I got a business bank account. I got a security firm that scrubs my personal information off the internet every 30 days. I got a P.O. box. I got a therapist. I got a lock for my office door and a rule. I don't work when Lily is awake. Ever. Last year I made $112,000. I paid $31,000 in taxes. I put $20,000 in Lily's 529 college fund. I put $10,000 in savings. The rest paid for rent, groceries, St. James, Mom's medical debt, and the locks. The money isn't dirty. The secrecy was. Now there are no secrets. Not from Mason, not from the IRS, not from myself. Mason is in therapy too. Every Thursday at 4 p.m. He doesn't talk about it much. But last Tuesday he came home and sat at the kitchen table. He had a cup of coffee. He looked at me and said, "I was raised to think the family name was something you protect. Nobody told me the family name was you." He paid me back the $12,000 I loaned him when he was jobless. He rounded it up to 15 and put a check on my laptop. "I'm not your brother if I don't pay my debts," he said. I told him to keep it. He said, "Then it's for Lily, for college. Brothers do that." So it's in her college fund, along with the rest. Lily is 6 now. She lost her first tooth. She wants to be a paleontologist. She knows Mamu Mason picks her up on Wednesdays. She knows Mommy works at night, on the computer making art for grown-ups after she goes to sleep. That's what we told her. It's not a lie. It's just not the whole truth. She knows I'm there when she wakes up. She knows I'm there when she has a fever. She knows I'm there when she has a nightmare. That's the only truth that matters to her. Last week she drew a picture. Me, her, and Mason at the Lincoln Park Zoo. There's a giraffe. There's the sun. Under it, in her big kindergarten letters, "My Heroes." Mason taped it to the fridge next to a photo for last August. We're at the lake. Lily's on his shoulders. I'm laughing. You can't see the fear in my eyes. You can't see that I scanned the parking lot for David's old Honda 3 times before we sat down. You just see a family. Mom called in January. No hello. Just, "Your father had a stroke." Click. I sent flowers to the hospital. They were returned with a note. "Return to sender. Not accepted." Mason didn't say anything. He came home that night with mint chocolate chip, Lily's favorite. We ate it in front of the TV and didn't talk about Texas. The messages haven't stopped. They're less now. Maybe 1 a week instead of 20 a day. The security firm catches most of them. But sometimes one gets through. A new account. A new threat. I screenshot it, send it to Agent Reyes, and block it. That's the procedure. That's my life. At 10 p.m., I kiss Lily goodnight. She's in her bed, holding the stuffed dinosaur Mason won for her at the fair. "You Are My Sunshine" is done. The monitor is on. The office door is locked. I work. Some nights it's easy. I talk to people. I laugh. I make money. Some nights it's hard. I remember Jake's voice. I remember Dad's face in court. I remember David crying when I told him I was pregnant. And I work anyway. At 1 a.m. I'm done. I shut everything down. I check the locks. I go to the kitchen for water. Mason is there. He's eating cereal straight from the box. Cheerios. He does it when he can't sleep, which is a lot of nights. "Hey," he says. "Hey," I say. "We don't talk about court. We don't talk about Dad. We don't talk about the 4 months until David gets out and the safety plan we have with Agent Reyes. Trash is tomorrow," he says around a mouthful. "I know," I say. "I saw your note." He leaves me sticky notes now, on my monitor, on the fridge. Trash goes out on Tuesday. Lily has a field trip Friday, needs $5. You're safe. I'm here. M. He writes it a lot. I used to think that was the bare minimum, something you say when you don't know what else to say. Now I know it's the whole thing. It's the difference between drowning and swimming. I get my water. I go to bed. Before I close my door, I look back. He's still in the kitchen. The light from the open fridge makes him look 16 again, like the brother who used to sit outside my door when I had nightmares and tell me stupid jokes until I fell back asleep. The monsters are real now. They have names and addresses and court dates. But he still checks. He still stays. It's not a victory lap. It's not a happy ending. It's a Tuesday. It's Cheerios at 1 a.m. It's a sticky note. It's Lily's drawing on the fridge. It's safe. And for the first time in my life, safe is enough. David gets out in 31 days. I know because I have a calendar on my wall. It's a normal calendar, with kittens. Agent Reyes sends me official updates, but I still cross off the days in red pen. 31 days until the man who put my address on the internet is back on the street. I don't tell Lily. She thinks her dad is still on a work trip. She's 6. That's the lie we agreed on. When she's older, we'll tell her the truth. For now, she draws in pictures and I mail them to his parents. They send me photos of him holding them in prison. It's the only contact I allow. Mason knows. He sees me cross off the days. He doesn't say anything. He just started double-checking the new security system every night before bed. Cameras, motion sensors, a panic button that goes straight to 911, and Agent Reyes's desk. The company installed it for free. Victim accommodation, they called it. I call it sleeping. Today was Lily's first day of first grade. I walked her to St. James. Mason came too. He took the morning off work. We stood at the fence and watched her run to her classroom, backpack bouncing, missing tooth grin. She didn't look back. That's how you know you did something right as a parent. They don't look back. On the walk home, Mason was quiet. Then he said, "I got a letter." That's all he said. I knew immediately who it was from. Dad. We didn't open it on the street. We waited until we were home, in the kitchen, with the door locked. Mason put it on the table between us. It was in a church envelope. Mom's handwriting on the front. "I don't have to read it," I said. "I think you do," Mason said. "And I think I do too." He opened it. One page. Typed. Not handwritten. That was Mom. Dad dictated. She typed. "Lola and Mason, your mother had another stroke on August 12th. It was a bad one. She can't speak anymore. She can't write. The doctors say she won't recover. I am putting her in a care facility in San Antonio. It is expensive. The church is helping. I am not writing to ask for money. I would not take your money. I am writing because your mother before the stroke made me promise to tell you something if it happened. She said to tell Lola, I saw the court video. I'm sorry I didn't stand up. I'm sorry I was scared. You are a good mother. I was wrong. She said to tell Mason, thank you for protecting your sister. I was proud of you that day. That is all she said. The rest is from me. I was wrong about many things. I will not say I was wrong about your job, Lola. I believe what I believe. But I was wrong about you. A man who won't protect his daughter is not a man. I did not protect you. Your brother did. That is my sin to carry. I do not expect forgiveness. I do not ask for a relationship. I am telling you because your mother asked me to, and because you should know where she is, if you wish to see her. The facility is Gracewood Memory Care, San Antonio. Room 214. Your father, Robert Miller. Mason read it out loud. His voice didn't shake. Mine would have. When he finished, he folded the letter back up. He didn't crumple it. He folded it like it was important. Maybe it was. Mom can't speak anymore. The last thing she said with her voice was that I'm a good mother. That Mason made her proud. I sat down. The kitchen chair was cold. Are we going? I asked. Mason looked at the letter, then at me. Do you want to? I thought about Lily. I thought about the drawing on the fridge. My heroes. I thought about the $31,000 I paid in taxes last year. Some of that money paid for Mom's first round of chemo before Dad cut me off. I thought about her hands in court, folded, shaking. Yes, I said. I want Lily to see her. Before she can't remember us. And I want Mom to see that Lily is okay. That we're okay. Mason nodded. Okay, then we go. This weekend. We fly down, we see her, we fly back. In and out. Agent Reyes can send someone with us if you want. I don't want security, I said. I want my brother. He reached across the table and took my hand. Then you have me. We didn't talk about Dad. We didn't talk about the part of the letter where he said he wasn't sorry about my job. We didn't need to. Some apologies have conditions. Some love does too. We were done accepting both. Later, after Lily was asleep, I stood in my office. I looked at my camera, my lights, my ring light I bought on clearance 2 years ago. This little room paid for Mom's first chemo. It paid for Lily's school. It paid for the security system that lets me sleep. I turned it all off and went to the living room. Mason was on the couch, laptop open, working. Hey, I said. Hey, he said, not looking up. Thanks, I said. For reading it. For going with me. For everything. He finally looked up. You don't have to thank me for that, Lo. That's what brothers are for. I didn't have one for a while, I said. I do now. He smiled. Just a little. Always did. Just took me a while to remember the job description. I sat next to him. We didn't watch anything. We just sat there. 2 adults in a quiet apartment, with a sleeping 6-year-old in the next room, and a calendar on the wall with 31 days crossed off in red. David gets out in 31 days. Mom can't speak. Dad is still dad. But my brother is here. My daughter is safe. And I'm still standing. That's chapter 8. It's not forgiveness. It's not a reunion. It's a plane ticket to Texas. It's a letter folded on the table. It's choosing to show up, even when it's hard. And it's knowing that family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up in court, who stands in your kitchen at 1 a.m., who flies to San Antonio with you because your mom asked. That's the family I have now, and I'm keeping it.